I grew up listening to Beethoven symphonies and Brahms and the whole bit, Mozart, Bach. And so that was the bedrock. And when I finally went to university and music school, I discovered that I sort of like knew all these harmonies. I knew names for them. And it was no education whatsoever for me. I just had to get a little bit of a name for them because it was sort of my folk music. The forbidden music in my childhood was anything with a beat, a pulse, like jazz, pop, because my people had this sense that we had to listen to really serious music or church music because my people were Mennonite, and they had all sorts of taboos about not going into the worldly side of things. So I remember hearing some jazz, and I just thought, oh, this is to die for. And I'd turn it up and want to listen, and then, oh no, turn that radio off. No, you can't listen. So I think what I did was I stored it in the back of my mind, and I knew that when I would be old enough, I could bring these worlds together. I grew up just listening to mostly abstract music or music without any text. And that was where I wanted to be. But then when I started thinking about some of the values that I grew up with and I developed my own versions of, which is very strongly political, and wanting to be part of the change rather than part of the problem in this planet, and to do it without a sense of preaching, but to draw attention to that which is here, and we want to move it there, and it becomes sort of a group consciousness that goes from here to there. So gradually I've started to write music that has incorporated themes. I guess you'd say I'd studied it consciously and subconsciously for a bunch of decades. To get the theme, find a lyric way to express that, and to incorporate it, allow it to flow into my own body so that my own perceptions are changed and really moved. And then by the time it comes out in the other end, possibly someone else will be moved. So basically, I've been writing music that has really, really moved me. I'm an American citizen, a Canadian immigrant. I'll live here the rest of my life. But the blood that's American, I was just incensed beyond belief when Bush did actually take troops into Iraq. I couldn't believe it. I read the news beforehand, and I figured, no, he'll never do this. It's too outrageous. The minute he did, I was probably even more angry than any of you born in Canada people, because I felt kind of like responsible. So I went through all the sources I could find to get names of the civilians that I knew were being killed, innocent civilians. And, you know, you'd get 2 names one day, and the next day maybe 3 names. Rebecca Campbell, the singer I work with, who said, why don't I try Iraq body count? And sure enough, bang on, there was John Sloboda in charge of that, who within a few weeks gave me all the names they had. So I went through this passion. It's been my thing to always, I won't write music unless I can go through this passion where I'm just absolutely immersed in the grief or the pain or the joy of it. Then that piece of Iraq has had its own moment. Conrad Grable University College is the part of Waterloo that I teach at. One of its main claims fame is the Peace and Conflicts Studies program. The man who's the leader of that, director of that, Lowell Ewart, suggested to me that I write a piece called Every 3 Seconds, for that every 3 seconds somebody is dying on this planet. And I thought, what an idea. So I dealt with this idea for a while, and I sort of had it halfway written in my mind, and I thought, no, I mean, like, every 3 seconds somebody dies on this planet. I mean, like, what can I say about that? I worked to try and find a theme that I could really relate to. And it really didn't take that long to focus on the AIDS situation. And then it didn't take that much longer to find an article by Stephanie Nolan in the Globe and Mail in which she had exactly that. 1 in every 3 children was affected by AIDS in this school in Joburg. And that's all I needed. So the Every 3 Children became the theme and the title. I just thought, how could it be that just innocent infants are infected by this virus, and yet the countries they live in don't have any effective drugs for it that these people in their economic status can get. So I tried to envision my own daughter and my nephews, the closest children in my life. What if they were at the point of death, and how would I deal with this? It seemed really clear that there was a reason to write a piece for these people, and also then to raise money so that money could go back to AIDS work in Africa. Soon on in the process, I just sat down at the email, Googled Stephen Lewis Foundation, wrote to the agency, I'm writing this piece, I'd love to be able to be in touch with Stephen Lewis. Thought it would never come back. Within a day she wrote back and said, he would like to have a phone interview with me. Wow. It's like, wow. So we made up a phone time, and he called, and we talked for a nice amount of time, and he gave me permission to use quotes from his book, and we just talked generally about the whole situation. Then finally, we released this, Every Three Children.